Let's return now to Southland, where extreme flooding has affected much of the region today. Reporter Katie Todd has just been in the latest civil defence briefing and joins me now live from Invercargill. Hi Katie, what can you tell us? What is the latest?
Kia ora. Well, it's good news for people in Gore. So at about 6 p.m, they will be told that they can go back into the zones that were evacuated this morning at 6 a.m. The water is going down there. For people in Mataura, it's still a bit of a watch and wait situation. They might be allowed back into evacuated areas later tonight. And then down south in Wyndham and further south towards the river mouth, that might be more like tomorrow because the last sort of surge of water is still going through there. We also heard from the Agricultural Minister, Damien O'Connor, and he's labelled this event a medium-scale adverse event. And the significance of this is that it unlocks a whole lot of funding, $100,000 in funding for farming businesses and farms and pastoral support.
So was there any mention, obviously the locals are talking about these chemicals in the disused paper mill, was that brought up at the briefing?
Yes, well I asked him about what would be happening. So I asked Damien O'Connor about if there was going to be any extra funding in terms of getting rid of the toxic material, and he said that the government will be speaking with Environment Southland about that when they can assess the situation. At the moment, water has got in, but there has been no gas released, which is good news. But they're obviously still, authorities are treading pretty carefully around there, and that's why Wyndham residents won't be returning tonight.
Katie, I understand you got a bit of a bird's eye view today. What was it like?
Yes, so I was up with Minister O'Connor when he surveyed the area from a helicopter, and just before we left, there was a press release from Dairy New Zealand estimating that about 100 farms were probably affected, and then just to see it from the air was to see exactly how badly they were affected was quite remarkable. Whole farms are underwater and buildings, and there's stock crowded onto tiny little islands, and it's quite mind-boggling, the scale of it really. And one interesting thing that actually happened was quite early on in the flight, we were down south towards the river mouth, and one person, a tourist, hadn't quite got the evacuation notice and was wading through the water about a kilometre from the edge of the river as it flowed, and so we had to end up helping them to be evacuated with another helicopter and a winch. So that was a little bit exciting.
Sounds quite dramatic.
That he got to safety. Yeah.
Is there any indication? Sorry, Katie, is there any indication about how many people have actually been evacuated and maybe returning tonight, actual numbers?
So the number is 2,400 people across from Gore South.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That is Katie Todd, who's joining us for Invercargill. She's been at that latest civil defence briefing and was actually up in the air in a helicopter today and looking at that flood damage.